If there's one thing that has a massive impact on the way a car looks, it's the wheels. But unfortunately, keeping wheels looking good is really difficult these days. For one, wheels are getting bigger, which means they are a lot easier to damage. But also, our environment really plays havoc on the finish. So, what do? Well, instead of replacing the wheel, you can actually have it refurbished for a fraction of the cost. Let's see how that process goes. Our search for wheel refurbishment brought us to SK Autosmart in Mumbai. They've partnered with Diamond Cut Refinishing Systems from the UK, a company that's been manufacturing wheel refinishing equipment since 2011. SK Autosmart is now importing these machines to India. We caught up with DCR Systems Head of Technical Operations Matt Corby to understand how these machines work.
I think the unique selling point for the DCR systems is we can utilise a quick repair on an alloy wheel and refurbish a diamond cut wheel with a tyre on, so it makes the process really quick and efficient.
Okay, and what sort of damage can you typically repair? What sort of damage do you see in your business?
Ideally, most of the damage you're going to see is going to be curb damage, curb rash on the edges of the wheels where someone's caught a curb or any damages and things like that, parking damages. They can be easily refurbished on the wheel lathe. Depending on sort of like the damage that's existed on the wheels.
Okay, and is it more common to see damage these days with the wheels getting bigger and that sort of?
Absolutely. As you're probably aware, most high-end vehicles nowadays are diamond cut, so the risk and the risk of getting damage on your wheels is a lot more prominent than they used to be. Yes.
What are the limitations of the machines, and what sort of things would you not do with this sort of machine?
Limitations. It really depends on the depth of the damage. You know, ideally you don't want to be taking any more than 2 millimeters off the front face of a wheel. So ideally that's going to be the limitations of what you can do. There are elements that you can increase that with by aluminium welding, but generally just a general purpose repair, so as we call it, a smart repair in the trade, and no more than 2 millimeters off the face of the wheel.
And how big a wheel can you do? Is there a limitation on that?
The maximum we can get in with a tyre on is 795 millimetres across. Now that depends on obviously the wheels and the tyres that are on the machine. On average between a 23 and a 24 inch wheel with a tyre on and up to a 30 inch with a tyre off.
Alright, let's look at these machines in action. Now we have a wheel with us right here and we're going to take it through the entire process, right?
Perfect.
Alright, let's do that.
So this is our H2O blaster. This uses a mixture of sand, medium grit and water mixed together, blasted at the wheel. This is a quick, efficient way of cleaning, but also preparing the wheel, so scotching the wheel up, ready in preparation for cutting it, and then final stages will be lacquering it. So after running through the Aqua Blaster, the results you're looking for is a keyed up area like this. And ideally what you're looking for is an area that's then ready to be painted over the top of or just lacquered. So we now move on to the DCR Pro. Once the wheel's been prepped and degreased, we have to make sure that the wheel is secured in the machine. It's the most important thing to do. And that's done with clamping the wheel to the back of the grid and then doing up with the chuck key. Once that's secured in the machine, we can then move on to the next stage, which is profiling the wheel. So after performing a buckle test, we can determine whether the wheel's good enough to cut. In this case, this wheel is absolutely fine and it's a minimal buckle, which you'll see in pretty much every wheel. The maximum amount that we will probably decide to cut in the machine is a maximum of 4 millimeters. That's probably the safest amount to cut in the machine for the wheel and also the machine's usage. So what I'm going to do now is start my scan, and that little laser is going to move from the outside of the wheel to my inside point, which I have indicated via a dot. All good, everything's how it should be. All I'm going to do now is set up my graph, and this is just my monitor on how I want the particular wheel to start cutting. So I'll start off at the top and I'll work my way over. My first cut depth I'm going to put at 0 just to be on the safe side to make sure we don't have any unwanted cutting on the wheel, and then a cut speed of 3. Once I'm happy with everything on the screen, I'm simply going to press cut and let the machine do its thing. So my dry pass is complete and everything's good. I'm now going to ask the machine to start cutting. And that's coming down in increments of 0.2 of a millimetre at a 3 cut speed. So it looks like we've pretty much cleared all the damage on the wheel. So we're now going to start to do a final cut, which is our finishing cut on the wheel. I'm going to keep my cut depth at where it was, at about 0.1 of a millimetre, but I'm just going to bring my cut speed down. The slower the cut speed, the better the finish, and they're going to give you that CD effect on how you want your diamond wheels to be cut. So if we're now happy with the wheel, all we're simply going to do is just finish the wheel machine. And we do that by pressing the finishing button, and the machine will lift up and move back to its home position, ready for us to take the wheel out. Now the end process is to lacquer the wheel. So this is our spray and cure booth. The infrared lights are now on to start the baking process to cure off the lacquer that's just been applied to the wheel. We have an automated stand that we can move up and down whilst the process is being done, either via painting or lacquering, whichever you're doing. We've got an extraction unit which extracts out all the fumes that you've created through either painting process or the clear process. And we've also now got a bake process going on through the infrared lamps. Once the wheel's been lacquered, we'll then close down the shutter. That'll then give us a nice enclosed area to get the temperature up to where we need it to get to. So after the cutting period and after the curing period of about 20 minutes for this particular product, we can now reveal the finished wheel.
Oh, that actually looks almost as good as new.
Yeah.
How long did you say it would take for the entire process? Let's say if a car comes in, needs all 4 wheels done, how long would you say it takes?
Generally, if you get a car at about 8 o'clock in the morning, to take them off, repair them, prep them, and then have them all lacquered, you can have them back on the car for just after midday.
That's really good. And obviously it's a lot more sustainable to repair a wheel rather than replacing a whole set.
Absolutely. It's the way forward now. This is why these products and these particular systems are becoming more and more popular, should we say.
Sure. Yeah. And in terms of costs, how do you say in terms of cost of replacing a wheel or repairing a wheel? What's the difference there?
On average, it averages out about 10% of the new cost of a new wheel. So you're going to be saving yourself a considerable amount of money getting it refurbished rather than getting it repaired.
In one afternoon, our wheel went from scratched and worn to looking fresh again. The results speak for themselves.
Of course, there are limitations to what they can do. If the scratches are too deep, or even worse, if you bent or cracked your wheel, then they will not be able to help you. It's much safer to actually get the wheel replaced. But in terms of a cosmetic repair, the finish on this is absolutely phenomenal. If you are someone who cares about the way their car looks, all the way down to the wheels, then it's nice to know that there are sustainable and cost-effective options out there.